My name is Asia Sampson, and today on Baptism Overland, we're getting lifted. So I'm wearing the free hat that came with this lift kit. It's the ARB 4x4 hat. Is that cheesy? I feel like that's cheesy. Like, you shouldn't be a walking billboard, especially if the company's not even sponsoring the video, right? You know what? I don't even care. I'll show all my love and support to ARB because I am just so happy to have finally gotten my lift. If you've been following my previous videos, then you know that in the video before this one, I just installed wheels and tires on the Jeep. When I decided to do wheels, tires, and the lift, I decided to put a budget to it. Now, had it been a long time ago, I probably would have put most of that budget towards having really nice wheels. Because honestly, unless you know what you're looking for, no one really can notice the lift and no one really notices what tires you put on. They are always going to be drawn to what wheels you put on them. I mean, the average people, but most times Jeeps and 4x4 guys, they'll know to look at the tires because that's, you know, that's the cred. But knowing me, I would have probably skimped on the tires and skimped on the lift so that I could put my money on really nice wheels. But as I started to really learn about this overlanding thing and what I really wanted to do with my vehicle, I started to realize that it was more important to have really good ride quality. Because yeah, you can look good, but if your ride sucks, then you're gonna suffer and you're probably not gonna like it. And if you have springs that are not really good, then you're gonna be bouncing around all over the place. So in order for me to save money and keeping in my budget, I went with 33s over 35s. Now in the previous videos, I discussed exactly why I went with 33s versus 35s. If you haven't seen the video yet, go check it out. Now to save even more money, instead of getting alloy wheels, I decided to get steel wheels. Because had I gotten alloy wheels, if I would have gotten them scratched up, I would have probably hated myself. I would have probably been really careful going on trails like, oh my God, don't ruin my wheels. But with steelies, man, if I scratch them up, so what? Spray paint over them later. If they get beaten or they get bent, then I can just hammer it back into place. So now that I was able to save money on those two things, then I was able to put a majority of my budget towards a really good lift. A good friend of mine who's a diehard Jeeper used to run Old Man EMUs, and he said he couldn't be happier with Old Man EMUs. I didn't think I could afford it. If you go look at Old Man EMU lift kits, they range like $2,000, $3,000, and I'm like, man, that's way out of my budget. But that usually comes like with a complete suspension overhaul. Everything from your track bar to upper and lower control arms to disconnects and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what, maybe I don't need that yet. So I went with this kit, which was about less than $1,000. This is the Old Man EMU heavy duty spring set. Now what sold me to this versus all the other companies is the fact that these heavy duty springs will handle a lot more weight. See, if you went with another company, in order for you to get the lift that you want, you're gonna probably have to go a couple more inches above that, because once you start to add your bumper, armor, rooftop tent, it's gonna sag back down. So if you want, let's say, a 2.5-inch lift, you might have to go get a 4-inch lift from another company, and it's gonna bring it back down to 2.5 for you. I didn't wanna have to gamble with that, where I get a lift from another company and not know exactly how much it's gonna yield me when I start to actually put stuff. But these are true to height. So 2-inch to 2.5-inch. If you put 2 to 2.5-inch, they're so heavy duty that I can put all that stuff and it will still maintain anywhere between 2 and 2.5 inches. In fact, when I was reading forums, a lot of people were getting 3-inch lifts, like from a 2.5-inch lift kit like this one. They were getting like 3 inches. Then after they put all the armor and rooftop tent and all that other stuff, then it got down to the 2.5. So that's exactly what I wanted. I don't have to gamble. I'll know that I'll get a true 2 to 2.5-inch lift with this kit. Plus, not too bad cost-wise. It comes with your springs, it comes with the shocks, it comes with the brackets, it comes with the spring caps, it comes with all the stuff that you need. And then I can just build on the suspension later. Now, here's the thing. I put aside money to have this thing installed, and I wanted to go and just have it installed professionally. But then someone commented on my last video and said, hey, if you want to save that money on the install, bring it over to me. I don't live that far from you. Let's install it together. Should we be taking offers from perfect strangers? I don't know. Never met the guy before. But I figured, you know what? Let's give it a try. A couple of friends are going to come with me. Should be okay. I just hope I don't get kidnapped. I don't look like the kind of guy that would probably get kidnapped. If you don't ever see me post up videos again, then maybe call authorities. Now, I'm not really that worried. Cool guy, I looked at his stuff, he's been installing lifts on his Jeeps. So I'm like, you know what? I would rather install it myself anyway. Why? Because then if something goes wrong later, I can troubleshoot because I was there when this thing was installed. I'll know exactly what went on. The thing is, I don't know a lot about suspension or installing my own suspension systems, right? This is the first time I've ever owned a 4x4 before, and I want to learn. I want to know what it takes to install these myself, rather than taking it to someone and if something goes wrong, I really didn't know what they did down there. So anyway, I don't want to talk anymore. Let's just go do this thing, and I will see you in the morning. So today is lift day. It is about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm headed off to this guy's house, meeting up with a couple of friends, and I am finally installing this lift that I've been wanting for a really long time. So I'm really, really excited. Am I so excited that I'm still wearing the ARB hat? Yeah, I am. Am I so excited that I went to sleep with the ARB hat? Maybe. But there's a couple things. I am not going to be doing a fully detailed install. I am not the guy that you should be learning how to install a lift from. I'm just now learning myself. There are tons of resources online. Matter of fact, you should actually just contact the manufacturer of your lift and get the instructions on how to install it on your specific vehicle. I am not that dude that you should be learning how to install a lift from. But what I will do is just give the basics. I'm gonna have this guy show me what he's doing, and we will little by little just put it together, do a little time lapse, and then show you the results. Let me just stop talking and let's just get there and let's do it. All right, man, so this is the guy who, perfect stranger, invited me over to his house. Do you go by Christopher or Chris?
Just Chris.
Just Chris. But this is what I really want to know. What possessed you to ask a perfect stranger to come over to your house and do the lift?
Well, I follow your channel on YouTube, and I like what you stand for, and I've been watching your videos. I'm a DIY guy myself. And I came from, before I moved back here to Florida, I was living and working up in northern Alabama. And I was a member of a Jeep club that's up there. I won't say their name. It's a rather large Jeep club, thousands and thousands of members, all in one city. And a lot of the people up there, I mean, they buy a Jeep, and within 2-3 weeks they have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in upgrade. And I always kind of felt bad for the guy like myself. I don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of money. And so when I see people working on Jeeps, I just try to help out when I can and save money. And I love working on Jeeps.
Yeah.
I love teaching people how to work on their own Jeeps. Saves a ton of money on maintenance.
Yeah.
Labor rates now, they're anywhere from 90 to 120 bucks an hour.
Yeah.
So if a lift kit takes 4 or 5 hours, that's $500-600 bucks. So when I saw that you were getting a lift and you were going to have somebody install it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to throw it out. The worst he can say is no. And so I threw it out.
Well, here I am.
And here you are.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take, I guess, one last picture of this in its stock ride height form. Yeah. Getting lifted today.
Okay. So this in particular lift, it's the heavy duty old man EMU lift.
Right.
It's like you said yourself, it's supposed to give a true 2 to 2.5 inches of lift for a heavy laden vehicle.
Right.
That being said, what about when you're driving your Jeep around when it's not laden down with all of its gear? The biggest thing that I found, at least through my research, is that in this in particular lift, you could be looking at somewhere between 3 and 4 inches of actual lift with an unladen Jeep.
Right.
That could cause some problems with other things. For example, your front end geometry. It could cause death wobble. All of those things, ball joints, track bar, alignment, do play into getting death wobble. But one of the things that a lot of people overlook is your caster angle of your front axle. When you lift your Jeep, your axle is going to tilt forward.
Okay.
If you don't have anything to bring it back to within spec, now your tires are towed in.
Yep.
So now when you tilt them forward, people think, well, it still doesn't make sense because they're round. It does, because they're connected to a solid axle.
Correct.
Now, instead of driving to where they're just keeping the vehicle straight, they're digging in to where they're wanting to pull your vehicle, and then you hit a bump, and then they're fighting each other, and then you feel like you're going to die because you have death wobble. the crossover pipe for the exhaust. Your front drive shaft that comes out of your transfer case to the front axle, it can only come down so far before it actually makes contact with that crossover pipe. And it's usually right where the rubber boot is. Too much lift and it's going to sit on that and it's going to burn your rubber boot off and you're going to lose your front drive shaft. So that's an issue. Right and now. We won't find that out till we get it on. Till we get it on. Because right now you have your roof rack, you have some stuff on the top, so your vehicle does have some weight on it. But once we find out how it's going to be, once we get the lift on,
let's get that measurement.
We'll know what other small parts. None of them are that expensive. They just correct the things that need to be corrected, and none of them are even that difficult to install. But they will save you thousands of dollars down the road. Once we get the wheels off and the tires off, we can actually lower the jack or lower
the hydraulic without having to lower the body.
Right, and that because we want to
lower
what's called group the suspension.
Yep, group the suspension. Correct.
So we can get all that in, and that's pretty much the first thing.
Pro safety tip: make sure you put your tires underneath in the event that your jacks fail. If the jack fails and happens to fall, at least it will fall on your tire and not on you. So that's something cool that I learned today. Put the tires underneath. And there's my boy.
Oh, he got
Look at that. His concern is what if I get too much of a lift and the thing's not heavy yet? If I hit like 3-4 inches of lift.
That was the biggest thing.
You possibly will. I mean, you may because you have no armor. Well, you have your
roof rack,
but
you have nothing on the front.
You got nothing on the front. So let's just order some new stuff for you.
Am I gonna die?
Did you get the HD or the medium?
The HD.
Okay.
The HD.
So you got the HD. It's still going to be a squishy ride, but it will sit up. I mean, you can load this thing down and it'll just sit.
It'll sit. Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a total overlanding setup.
The other thing, and you'll probably agree with this, this kit didn't come with.
They didn't come with the your sway bar, your longer links.
It came with bump stop extensions for the rear.
Okay.
And it comes with a panhard drop bracket, so it's for the frame end, not the axle end. So his front axle is probably going to sit way over. So I would recommend, again, just a recommendation, is the Terraflex Monster track bar.
Okay, yeah.
And the reason I recommend that one is it isn't the top of the line, but it's probably the easiest one to adjust because it has an adjustment sleeve, just like your drag link does. So you don't have to unbolt it. I'm going to remove the sway bar links first, just to get that disconnected. And then we're going to remove the shock and the brake line right here. We're going to do it on the other side too.
Okay.
So that way we can drop the whole axle down together and get the spring out. Shocks are easy to get out. They're just hard to unbolt. The springs, you just got to get enough play so you can get them up over this bump right here. And then we'll go from there.
All right.
Those ribs hanging down,
Just grab them with this and snap them off.
Okay. Is it 2016 you said? It should be relatively brittle.
Yeah, but what if I go to a car show and they look under there and say, hey.
God, you better not go to a car show.
At a car show with a Jeep.
That man wore fancy shoes to work on Jeeps.
Hey, grab my boots. They're in the back of my Jeep.
The shock's not actually going to come out. You're just going to get the bolt off the top.
Yeah.
It won't come out till we remove the bolt off the bottom.
Sure.
All right, the springs are coming out. There you go. Springs are gone, shocks are gone. We got springs and we got the shocks, the stock springs and shocks out.
Hey Chris,
and now we are compressing the OME springs so that we can fit them in there.
There we go. There you go. Fat kid. Lots of weight. Now it's going to be harder than the other side.
Checked up on the other side to bring this side back up so we don't have to compress the spring too much.
You
to
can
make
bring
it
it down
fit in here.
That's why.
There.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You want me to put your brake line back where it was in that mount? I'm telling you right now, it's going to be tight.
Yeah.
Doing it here, it's already pulling on this, just sitting here.
Yeah, I know, right?
So I would recommend. I'll take this off, and then I put the shock. I put this on the outside of the shock. This will still be on there for now, and we'll just have to work on getting that off later.
Yep.
Is that okay with you?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, no, don't give me I guess so. Because you're going to get home and like,
yes.
fucking Chris screwed me over. Now I got to do this. Oh, that's nice and slow. See, on my Terraflex ones, I removed them things and went bing. I was like, oh, shit.
Oh!
Now I'm getting this off.
There you go. Wow, that was pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was super
That's what she
anticlimactic.
said.
Asia, damn, you actually look like you're wrenching Asia.
Where's the bolt that went to
It should be right there. Look by the pry bar.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
All right, guys, moment of
yeah,
truth.
remove the
Move the jack.
jack stand. Hey, details.
There we go.
There you go. That's not bad.
That's how high?
Yeah,
Holy crap!
you're good.
Got the fronts done. Now we're doing the back. Don't forget to disconnect your ABS lines before you droop. Good thing that Chris over here knew to do that. I wouldn't have known to do that.
And then also, there's a bracket up underneath your body tub that holds your e-brake lines. And you need to take that off or disconnect it from the tub so that when you droop your axle, you're not pulling your e-brake lines out.
And then Chris over here has the most technical job, which is removing the little clips.
It's called Asia's job.
Hush. No,
Asia forgot to do it when he put his new wheels on.
my job is directing.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
So the other one fell off
Yeah.
quite easily.
Oh, there
it is.
It was just your track bar.
Because this is going to go in here. This is actually going to go in here like that to keep this from crushing. So, yeah. These are easy.
Yeah.
Just not so much.
Okay.
All right, so basically what's going on is that the Old Man EMU kit came with these brackets that will allow you to relocate the track bar on the passenger side if it needs to be relocated. And then it also comes with bump stop extensions. So we are looking at instructions right now on how to mount them up and put them on. So that's what's going on right now before we actually put in the springs and the shocks. These are the bump stop extensions they're putting on right now.
Oh, that's going to be ugly. The nut doesn't go in. There it is.
Got it?
No.
Too tight?
Well, it's hitting the axle. But you got to turn the bolt, not the nut. So you have a lot more clearance onto this side than I have on this side.
Right. Might be able to get your hands in there a little easier.
All right, let me try. Hasn't caught yet?
No. Part of it's because I can't see what the hell I'm doing.
Here, let me.
Hold on a second. Let me see.
Hold on. Look, hold your finger. I think I just got it.
Got it. There you go. Got it. See? Small fingers. There you go. So now someone needs to just screw it from the inside.
Right. See, that's the thing. I hate. I keep having big
what's
fat
your
hands
name,
in
sir?
there. That's why we asked you to do.
Man, look at me go. All right, so there's one. Other side. Whoa, look at that. Wow.
Like a glove.
Like a glove. It just went in there like butter. All right, here comes the second spring.
I got this whole bracket here that's kind of in my way.
Here.
Oh, hold on. Might be able to get it.
You know what? It might be easier to come. Oh, there you go. There's one.
I just needed to get it in a little bit. Now see, but the problem is it's not on the rubber isolator right. That's the issue on this side.
And it's already dropped as far as it's going to go, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what? Let's get it on,
and then we'll twist because it's there is loose enough to where you can twist it.
Yeah, we're almost there. Come on. Oh, there you go.
You ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3. No. Pull, push.
Maybe try going
Wrong
from the back.
Well, part of it is because of this isolator that's crooked.
Yeah.
It's putting more pressure on it than it needs to because it's not sitting down in it. 1, 2, 3. Come on!
Hey!
Hey!
Like a glove.
God.
You 40-year-olds. Stupid.
It's actually on it. It could rotate this way a little bit more. Perfect. Oh,
No.
It's like right there. It's in it. That's why on the rears, the coil perch is real small, so it's wound real tight right there.
Okay.
So it can only go in there. Now some companies see how there's a hole.
Yeah.
They'll sell you a bolt
To
and a washer that goes over this, so that way the coil can never come off of this.
Pop out.
We're gonna get the shocks on.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna raise the axle back up
Okay.
to put load on it, and once we do that, we'll connect all that stuff up.
Okay.
So now we're adding the extensions.
Hold on. Let's do it from the bottom.
Okay.
Because you're not going to get any swing on it from the top.
Yep.
Or this way. Oh God.
Here, I can get it from here.
Okay, I'll let you do it.
Now we're putting the
So basically,
extension
it's got to
bracket
line up with this hole.
in there.
There we go.
Cute.
Yay.
Yeah, it's in. It's there.
There we go.
Look at that.
There we go.
Okay, now we got to put this bracket
Got it?
That'll be
like this.
child's play as long as this other thing doesn't shift on me.
It ain't going in. I'm telling you that right now. Stop. You're actually hitting this.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, by like a lot.
Oh, so we need to stretch that.
Yeah, or something. Or here, pound it on this way,
Okay.
and then we'll straighten it. Hit this side. There you go. Keep doing that. No. Keep hitting this side till it's straight.
Yeah, so it's straight. And go.
Now go straight up from the back here.
There you go. That's it.
I just hit it from the back.
Yeah,
from right
because the
here.
back is what's.
Up at the right.
Yeah. Yeah, see? It lines up. There you go.
Is it
All right,
lined up?
you're gonna have to
Somewhat.
hit from the back. No, it's not. You gotta come. Yeah, that way.
There. So this right here was probably the biggest pain in the butt ever. But not only was this part hard to put on, but then you had to like move a bolt through this hole to your track arm, and then this little plate up here. But that is what has been giving us a whole bunch of problems. But we finally, using a hammer, got it in there. Crazy, wild and crazy that they didn't make it an easier setup. I put one side of my spring in, waiting on Chris to finish up his. Okay. Wow, all day install, and this is pretty much wraps it up
Now we're
right
just
here.
buttoning it. Now we're just buttoning everything up. You ready?
We're gonna lower it down. Let's go. Let's do it. Boom. Look at that. Wow. Finally done. So sitting in front of me are my stock springs and shocks, which means that I finally have my lift installed. And I could not be any more happier. Like, I am now sitting on some old man EMUs. I mean, I think when we let that hydraulic jack go and I just saw the Jeep stand there on its own, Like I just got so happy, a big smile came over my face because I didn't realize how low I was sitting before. Now, I can't even barely reach my roof rack. I even tried to sit on the bumper and it wasn't like as easy as I used to be able to. I'm like, wow, this is high. And what really made me smile was when I went to the back and I just saw those yellow shocks sticking out. I don't know why I got so geeked up over that. I guess because I've seen other rigs and you see the yellow shocks and you just know that they're running old man EMUs, that it made me like really geeky to see it on my vehicle. Now I will say that this was probably the hardest mod I had ever done on my Jeep ever. Like I don't even think the roof rack was this difficult. With the roof rack you just kind of follow the instructions, make sure the template's right and it fits. But with this, I mean, we started at 10 o'clock in the morning and we didn't finish until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's not to sway you from doing lifts yourself. And it isn't that there's something different about this lift and all the other lifts that makes it more difficult. I mean, just putting a lift in and of itself is going to be a hard and difficult job. There's a lot of little issues that will come up, so just be really prepared for that and make sure that if you're going to do a lift yourself, just make sure you are doing it with people who have experience. Between these two guys, they knew what they were doing. I mean, putting in new shocks and springs is basically the same no matter what company you go with, but there are some things that were a little bit different. So like I said, I wasn't gonna go and do a full-blown video on the entire install. I mean, it took 7 hours for us to do this install. I'm not gonna make you sit through 7 hours of footage. But what we did make sure to include were the little things that might make this lift a little bit different. So for example, Old Man EMU comes with these brackets. One bracket is for your bump stop extensions. And those were easy. They were pretty straightforward. You just put them down and you put the screws in. The only problem is where they have you put the screws in, it's kind of hard to kind of put your finger in there and then make sure it lines up to the hole. And I was the only one with skinny enough fingers to actually get my hands in there and kind of move the screw around till I finally was able to get the bolt to catch. So we were able to do that and then just tighten it. So, but that took a while. And the other thing that ate up a lot of our time was these brackets that basically lower your rear track bar a little bit. So it lowers it and it relocates it a little, but because of the bracket not fitting perfectly, like it just was difficult to do. And we had to hammer it in there and then hammer it upwards, hammer it to the side until we finally the holes lined up that we can get the bolt through. Then we had to do that with the track bar and kind of hammer it into place and make sure that that bolt goes through. Then there was another bracket that would go up and it has to go into this other hole and we had to hammer that to get that to line up. So it was just a lot and it took about an hour for us just to get that bracket in place. Had they made it a little bit easier, we probably could have got everything in there, screwed everything up nice and tight, and it would have been no problem at all. Overall though, I think it turned out great. I think I ended up yielding, let's see, it was supposed to be 2 to 2.5 inches of lift, and honestly, I went from 35.5 to about 42 inches in the front and 41 inches in the back. That's a lot. That's like almost 4.5, 5 inches of lift. Now you can look at that and say, wow, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, but you're gonna start throwing some things off when you do that. The only solace that I have is that I know it's gonna settle a little bit more. It's probably gonna go back down a little, and then when I start getting armor on there, it will bring it down. Like I said, it's going to be a true 2 to 2.5 inches of lift once you get all your stuff in place, rooftop tent, bumper. But right now, I'm not having any problems. Now I know I do have to get a couple of things. First, I have to get a track bar for this thing, just so that I can recenter my axles. So if I can get an adjustable track bar, I can bring that back to center. The other thing is I do need to get an alignment again. Most times when you do a lift, it toes in, but for some reason mine is towing out. But hopefully the alignment will somehow fix that, because it's not riding funny, but you can tell from the front that it's kind of off a little. The other thing I do need to get also are disconnects. Now everyone knows who's done a lift, you're gonna have to get longer disconnects for your sway bars, because once you do a lift, your sway bar is supposed to be parallel. Once you do a lift, it kind of droops like this. So I'm going to get some JKS quick disconnects. I mean, I might as well get them so that I can quickly disconnect them when I hit trails. So that's the next thing that I'm doing. The last thing that I need to get is I need to get the brake line relocation kit. When we disconnected the brake line, it's kind of just dangling there. The bracket that it's on now won't even come off, so I have to figure out a way to get that out, because right now it's kind of knocking up against the shock and it's kind of like annoying. However, once I get this new relocation kit from Terraflex, that should move it out of the way and I'll be good to go there. So those are the things that I know I need to get just to kind of refix everything. But other than that, you guys, this thing is riding like a dream. In fact, the guy who I met today, Chris, the first Chris, he rode in it with me during this test drive, and he was like, "You're making me really think about getting this same setup on my own Jeep." That's that old man EMU engineering that I just knew would come through for me. Like, it just rode so good. I didn't get any wobble. I didn't get any vibrations. I didn't get any, I wasn't hopping around in the Jeep. I wasn't bouncing around inside the Jeep. Like, it just rode so good. So if you're really considering doing a lift, old man EMU. Like, I can't say it enough. It just rode like a dream. And I know that because they're heavy duty springs, they're gonna be able to handle all the weight that I'm going to put on them. And there are some adjustments I have to make, but no matter what kit you get, unless you get like a full blown kit, you are gonna have to make some adjustments. So, hey, for $1,000, 2.5-inch lift from old man EMU's, that's not bad. And now I can just kind of piece the rest of the puzzle together. I just wanna say thank you to both Chris's for helping me with this install. Both of them combined taught me more about suspension than I have ever known in my entire life, ever since I got this Jeep. They say that I was a lot of help. I don't feel like I did much, because I was so busy learning. And now if something goes wrong, I'm glad I did my own lift, because I know exactly what went into it. And if something went wrong, I can pinpoint what went wrong. That's what it's all about. It's about doing your own thing. It's about you learning about your vehicle and not just putting stuff on there, having somebody else do it, and so you can say you're cool. Know how your own ish works. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was informational enough for you. Even if it wasn't a full install video, I hope you were able to get these little things, especially if you're installing old man EMUs, that will help you decide whether you want to get them, or if you are trying to install them now and you are stuck on a particular issue. I hope you were able to see how we did it. Please like this video, please subscribe to our channel, and also make sure to follow us on our Instagram channel at Baptism Overland. My name is Asia Sampson, and until then, I'll see you later.
GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. Dang it!